It's a brand new edition of NFL Power Rankings. We are presented by Energizer, along with Eric at home. Mike Yam with you, a complete breakdown of all 32 teams according to Eric. You can check out NFL.com. I'm walking off the set, Monday Night Football post game, and Eric, I'm reading your article ahead of the show today. I got to be honest, I think there's a slew of teams where you could probably do some jumbling. Is there one team that stands out in the rankings that was maybe the hardest to slot into their place?
Yeah, I would say the Buffalo Bills. They're a tricky team to figure out, coming off the win over the Chiefs and then losing on Sunday so dramatically to the Dolphins. Hard to know what you're getting week to week, and in the big picture, they're swimming upstream, fighting the Patriots right now. They're a wild card team at best, it looks like.
Fighting the Patriots, words that I did not think would be spoken this season. Let's find out where the Bills are. Not in the top 8, which means if you're part of Bills Mafia, you just got to wait a smidge here. But check this out at the top. Seattle, Los Angeles, a great game coming up this week. This is going to be must-see television. They sit 1-2. The Colts with the win in Berlin at number 3. The Eagles somehow survive some dramatic moments at Lambeau. They are 4. The Lions dominant in this over the weekend at 5. The Patriots at 6. Kansas City dropping a spot to 7. You got the Denver Broncos sitting at number 8. All right, let's start with the number 1 team, and that is Seattle. I don't know if there is a more dominant team on both offense and defense here, and I think the amazing thing about this is, Eric, when I think about Seattle in previous years, it's good defense and run the football. I don't know if that's the case. Sam Darnold continues to air it out. I know there wasn't a ton of throws here, but this offense has looked so darn impressive with him at the helm.
Absolutely. They are a vertical passing team, and I understand they have those two backs. Walker and Charbonnet are a big part of what they do, but they close games out. They throw early to try to get leads, and they can do it very well. I mean, we talk about all the MVP candidates. Sam Darnold, with a big game Sunday, might be able to enter that conversation. So, look, I mean, slightly tougher schedule, 5 road games left for them, but I still believe in this team. They do have their hiccups, right? You look at the Texans game, you look at Sunday, they kind of let the Cardinals get back in it, but you're right about that defense causing havoc up front and the offense doing the same thing, essentially. So a lot of firepower, and I think they're a really talented team. Maybe a little bit of a shaky one, but still my top team for a second straight week.
I actually think you make a really good point. If he balls out on Sunday against the Rams, something tells me that this dude is probably going to be the leader in the pack in terms of that MVP conversation. I mentioned the Rams. Let's take a holistic view of this division. Time for Future Champions presented by FanDuel. Here are the odds to win the NFC. The Rams right now, the NFC. The Rams at this point are the favorite at plus 310. The Eagles not far behind, plus 350. The Lions not far behind. And then you got Seattle at plus 490. So the division really significant. And then the conference as a whole, we're talking about 2 of the premier teams sitting in this NFC West. How am I supposed to assess this Rams team? You slotted them number 2 right now. I think it's rinse and repeat, right, on what the analysis could be from a Seattle perspective. There's some wrinkles that we're seeing from Sean McVay, this 13 personnel. We're seeing all these tight ends that are out there. I mean, this is really impressive, and I thought it was a nice win against the Niners.
Yeah, great coaching from Sean McVay in the sense of going way against his direction that he's always been in, which is to never have 13 personnel on the field. That's 3 tight ends, 1 running back, 1 receiver, but it's worked very, very well the past 4 or 5 games. Again, way out of character, but you got to look at the talent you have on your team. And, with Puka Nacua missing time and Devontae Adams had to leave the game late, those guys are great, but you could also lean on these 3 tight ends who also helped in a big way to help them overcome the 49ers, get out to a big lead, take the Niners' best punch in the middle of the game, and then really flex at games in. Still want to see a little bit more defensively from them. I know that pass rush is great, maybe some more tackling or some more takeaways and a little better tackling, but still a lot of firepower on this Rams team. Obviously, this game is going to have a huge say, not only on the MVP race with Stafford and Darnold, and also the conference pecking order, but the division as well. And, the loser could end up being the 5 seed. So that's a pretty big drop.
Yeah, on NFL.com, your article with these rankings, you had a great stat regarding both of these teams. The Seahawks and the Rams, neither one of them have trailed since week number 6. Yeah, mind blown. They've been that good so far this season. All right, let's check in on the number 4 team. That's the Philadelphia Eagles. They survive at Lambeau. I don't even know what to make. Like, I can't even imagine living in the city of Philadelphia right now, listening to talk radio on what we saw. It's a timeout late in the game, 4th and 6, and you're thinking to yourself, yeah, they're going to go and punt. They don't. They air it out at the 35, and that actually gave Green Bay an opportunity to come back and win this one. But look, they survive. And should I be concerned about their offense right now?
Man, I don't know. I've been wringing my hands over this too, right? The Eagles are not as explosive. They're not as consistent. Saquon Barkley hasn't had the same running lanes he did a year ago. And so all of this has led me to think maybe they're not the same caliber team, but they're leaning into the ugly. They excel amid the ugliness, and they don't mind playing one of these games. Some teams, want to avoid this type of thing. They seem to relish it. So I'm with you. I wish Nick Sirianni was a little more aggressive early in the game. They didn't take a lot of those deep shots on 3rd and long. And then late in the game, throwing the ball, not trying to drain clock, but trying to put the Packers away with a touchdown a couple times, both the last 2 possessions. So, a little questionable game management there. But, I really like the fact that their defense can still take over games. They still have Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown as those big targets. And they find a way to get it done. That's why they're so high on my list still, and I believe in them.
Yeah, we'll find out where the Packers sit in your power rankings, but I think there is some cause for concern right now. It's one thing to go and lose to the Eagles at home, but when you couple that with what I saw offensively with Jordan Love and the fact that they lost to Carolina the other week, that worries me a little bit. One team I'm not all that concerned about, your number 5 team, the Lions. Rolling the Commanders here. A lot has been made of play calling. How do you view what Dan Campbell is doing right now, especially with his team's offense?
Yeah, I know there was obviously a little mini controversy over sort of stripping the play calling duties from John Morton, first-year play caller, of course, replaced Ben Johnson, who's now in Chicago. But look, Dan Campbell's doing what he thinks is best for his team. The last 3 games prior to this one seemed to lack a little bit of explosion. Jahmyr Gibbs wasn't always as productive, and I think he's really kind of the linchpin of this offense. I love Jameson Williams, love David Montgomery, Laporta, Monroe, St. Brown, all these guys are great. But to me, they're really, really get rolling when Jahmyr Gibbs is touching the ball and getting his hands in space like this. You saw the big production in that one, 3 touchdowns, had a monster game. Yeah, Ja is good. Trust me on this one. He's really the difference. So I think Dan just wanted to take a little control. He still said it's a collaborative issue, or effort, I should say. And I believe him. I think Dan just wanted to have his hands on it and kind of get them back into a little bit more of that explosive rhythm that we saw so much of the last couple years.
Yeah, look, this is a huge Sunday night matchup. In fact, when I knew that the matchup was coming, I was like, oh, is this the Monday night game? And obviously it's not. But we have Detroit on the road in Philadelphia. I think we learned a lot about both of these teams coming off of this game.
Yep.
If Philly doesn't look good and they lose, Eric, I think the door is open for you to drop them pretty significantly. Look, a win is a win, and in the words of Ben Johnson, never apologize for a win. That's what he's been telling his Chicago Bears.
And we take all suggestions here too, Mike. So
okay,
yeah.
I'll send you a text. I try to stay, the neutral Switzerland party on this show. Excited to talk about this team. It's time for Power Needs, and it is presented by Energizer. Team I'm referring to at number 6, it is the New England Patriots that move up 5 spots. People talk about their schedule. They're going to say, hey, it's not tough. They've beaten the Bills. Say what you want, coming off of that loss that they just had against Miami. To go and win on the road against a good Tampa Bay team, the way that they did. Remember, Todd Bowles' squad's coming off of a bye. The way Drake May played, I'm actually a believer right now in this team. I think they make a run.
Yeah, they're all of a sudden really scary, right? And like you, I wanted to see another big-time victory, especially on the road. They're 5-0 away from home right now. They've been terrific in those settings. Drake May with some really tight window throws. This one was big, obviously, to Diggs. There were so many plays where he left a few yards on the field, too, through the interception that kind of opened the door late. But Patriots defense had a big stop. This 4th down, Mike, 4th and goal right before the half. You saw May take a knee on 1st down, drain some clock, and then that clutch throw. And then Travion Henderson with the big game as well. He ripped a huge touchdown run to give them a 21-10 lead early in the 3rd. So the vertical passing game, the home run hitting in the backfield, and a defense that's getting some key stops here. Most teams don't run up the gut against Tampa Bay with much success, but Travion Henderson was a massive reason for their success. And Mike, just their offseason. Look at the acquisitions they made. Milton Williams and those guys on defense, the rookie class, Henderson, Will Campbell, everybody else on offense. It's been a lot of hits, and that's why they're doing as well as they are.
I'm actually glad that you brought up that touchdown throw. In my mind, I think there's something to be said for the confidence level of this team and their confidence in a young quarterback in Drake May. On a fourth down, to not run and let your quarterback make that throw, to me, that's Mike Vrabel letting his team know, we have a dude that we believe in. And I don't know, 3 weeks ago, Drake May was floated for like the MVP conversation. I'm like, we need to pump the brakes. Todd Bowles is a really good football coach, great defensive mind. This, to me, like, I think Drake May has thrust himself into this conversation. I can't wait to see over the next couple weeks to get the Jets. There's an opportunity for them to roll off about 3 consecutive wins here, the way the schedule has lined up. The Broncos, speaking of like complete teams, I was feeling that way, and now I'm kind of hedging a little bit. A win's a win, we will take it, but they're not looking super dominant. You got them sitting right now in your 8th position. Talk me through the rationale here.
Yeah, still not high enough for Broncos fans who are chirping at me this morning, but we'll get to them. I mean, obviously, you look at the inconsistencies offensively, and, for some games it's been, hey, the first 3 quarters, nothing happens, and then we light it up in the 4th. But watching that Thursday game, they seemed to almost get worse as time went on, as the game went on. You saw, some hero ball plays like this from Nix, and, I always feel like he's better playing within structure. Sean Payton calling the plays and him going with the open reads, but they just weren't there. And, J.K. Dobbins gets a little banged up at the end of that game, too. How much do they trust R.J. Harvey? So that and the pre-snap penalties, they're driving me nuts. But this team has the potential when Patrick Surtain is back, and if that offense kicks another gear, they could be right up there with some of the best. We just haven't seen it every single week.
Yeah, you feel good about them heading into this matchup against Kansas City? Another great game this week?
I mean, they're underdogs at home, and I think I like that spot for them, right? They're still the hunted in this kitchen, or the hunters in this situation. So I think they have a good chance, and they've played the Chiefs tough.
I don't love the matchup for them just because of the timing of this from a Broncos perspective against Kansas City.
Bye week, yep.
But Look, Denver has made other quarterbacks uncomfortable, and that's been a little bit of an Achilles heel this season for Patrick Mahomes. If you can, look, not always the easiest thing, but when he's been pressured this season, you can see just some issues that he has had. Meanwhile, speaking of some really good teams in the AFC, don't look now, but it looks like Lamar and company, they are ready to make a significant run for the postseason. They started 1-5. It's now 3 consecutive wins. Where does Eric have them in his rankings? The answer to that is coming up next.
Power Rankings is brought to you by Energizer. Still going.
Well, back here on Power Rankings, taking a closer look at Eric's squad, sitting 9 through 16. Remember the full list and analysis on each team, NFL.com. The Bills dropped 5 spots. Ooh, that loss against Miami down in South Beach, costly for them. The Bucs also fall 2 spots to number 10. It's the Chargers at 11. They move up 3 spots following that win against the Steelers. The Packers, they fall 2 spots at 12. The Niners at 13. The Steelers at 14. The Ravens move up 1 spot. They're sitting just 1 win away from 500. And then the Chicago Bears moving up a spot, 6-3, the 16th ranked team. Buffalo. What am I supposed to do with this team, Eric? I'm a little concerned right now. One thing to lose, like you lose to the Patriots. I feel like the Patriots are a good team. Like, hey, it is what it is. I'm watching Josh Allen warm up down in South Beach. I'm like, hey, these dudes are going to handle Miami. I get down after game day preview down to our wardrobe room. Mooch is standing there and he's like, yo, the Dolphins are already on top 7-0. Like, this is concerning to me.
Absolutely. And the concerns are in really all 3 phases. Certainly on defense, losing a couple of key guys, Ed Oliver, Michael Hoyt. Secondary still seems a little thin. Offensively, Sunday, turnovers. Josh Allen trying to do too much. Fumbles here. That was a big play. Right when momentum seemed to be switching a little bit. The other thing I'm noticing, too, is him dropping back and not seeing open receivers, just waiting and taking hits or making bad throws. But when you're giving up these big runs to an explosive offense, that's really frustrating. It also has to be frustrating for Brandon Beane at the trade deadline, not able to get a deal done for Jalen Waddle, and then see the dude on the other side of the field killing you over and over again. So, yeah, they're in need of a separating wide receiver of some kind. Dalton Kincaid got hurt Sunday. And not having enough stoppers on defense is all of a sudden making him a big problem.
Eric, you're brave, man. I got to tell you, I don't know if I'd sign up for this job to do power rankings because you got a Buffalo team that 1 week can beat Kansas City and I feel good about it. Then they lose to
Right.
Miami. And you're supposed to tell me how good this team is. Like, welcome to the NFL where we really don't know anything. At number 11, I'm still trying to figure out what I know about this Chargers team. There's a sense of resiliency around this squad, especially because of some of these injuries on the offensive line. I thought the most impressive thing was that defense made Aaron Rodgers look so uncomfortable in this game.
Absolutely. Right from the get-go, too. You know, they did have that fairly decent drive early, but Khalil Mack with his second career safety on that play, getting stuffs in the hole. You know, I thought that the linebacker play and the secondary play was very strong. Not letting DK Metcalf beat him, not letting Warren beat him, really making life on Rodgers, you know, tough and harassing him most of the game. So I'm with you. I think the limitations of this offensive line are clear. It's worrisome. But obviously, if they can make this kind of havoc with their defense and make these game-changing plays and put the ball in Justin Herbert's hands, good things often do happen. I still like the way he's playing this season. Some people are down on him. Getting Ladd McConkey more involved has been huge. You know, obviously, Rondé Gasson, before he left that game, has been a big factor lately, too. Kamani Vidal, etc. Yeah, the O-line kind of keeps holding me back a little, but with their weapons and with that defense and Cameron Dicker at kicker, they've got a chance to win a lot of football games, and they have so far. 7-3, they're in good shape right now.
Yeah, you know, we're talking about injuries, and I think the San Francisco 49ers on the short list of one of the more banged-up teams we're seeing in the NFL. No shame in losing to the Rams. Like, I get it. I think the Rams, they sit number 2 in your power rankings. You can make a case they're 1 or 2 in the NFL. I don't know how they overcome some of the issues on the defensive side. Maybe they get Brock Purdy back. I feel like we've been waiting now a couple weeks here. But is it as simple as just pointing to the injuries on defense as the reason that they've been dropping some of these games 4 out of their last 7?
Yeah, probably even more serious than like the Chargers O-line problems. I mean, you lose Bosa, you lose Warner, you lose Michael Williams. I mean, what can you do with that, right? They invested so much in those 3 guys alone on the defensive side of the ball, really kind of the 3 linchpins of this defense, or 3 of the linchpins, and not able to stop the Rams really at all. Had that one decent stretch in the middle of the game when they made it interesting, but still, I think the defensive limitations, you could talk all you want about Mac Jones versus Brock Purdy, and we certainly will. Quarterback discussions are always going to attract a lot of ears, but to me, it's the defensive limitations right now. They're going to hold this team back. The schedule is favorable, but the NFC West is really tough, and they've got 2 teams ahead of them playing very well right now. So, a tough situation to be in, even as competitive as they've been. And they played really hard. Mac played really well Sunday, just wasn't enough.
Yeah, Eric, you know, the Baltimore Ravens, when they sat 1-5, you and I were worried, but I think we both felt like, hey, there's a run that could potentially happen if they got healthy. They are getting healthy. They've won 3 straight, and now all of a sudden they are 4-5. The Steelers ahead of them in the division. Still games to be played between those 2 squads. Are sitting at 5-4. That was a hard-fought win against Minnesota, another team that I think was sort of on the come here. Like, I feel good about this Ravens team. Am I crazy?
Sure, absolutely. Now, did Minnesota make some questionable decisions in this game with how much they threw it and some of the situational calls? Sure. But, you know, after the Ravens were kind of settling for field goals early, they made big plays on defense and made sure they got their hands on a lot of these passes. Malachi Starks, 2 straight games with an interception. He's been big. You're right. The defensive improvements for me have been one of the starkest difference. Sure, having Lamar Jackson back is obviously a big one, but 4 straight games now where they've held their opponent under 20 points. That's massive, right? We know that the Ravens are capable of scoring 20 points most games with a healthy Lamar Jackson and with Derrick Henry kind of settling back in a little bit. So, you know, that right there is the formula. The Steelers have to be very worried after their loss. The margin is shrunk. They're going to face each other pretty soon, in about a month, and we'll find out who the supreme team is in that division. But right now, with all the momentum in Baltimore's corner, who's to say they're not the ones that come in and scare the heck out of everybody?
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. And they get a matchup in the division against a Cleveland team who in week 2, they absolutely throttled. That's when we were like, oh yeah, the Ravens, they'll be all right. Yeah. And then obviously got the injury bug in a meaningful way. So we'll find out where they're going to sit next week, assuming a win on your power rankings. Look at me, I'm already giving them another W to get back to 500. At 16, it's the Chicago Bears. If you would have told me at one point in that 3rd quarter, hey, Brian Daboll, his days are numbered. Chicago's going to win this game, I would have said, nah, you're crazy. That's exactly, though, what happened here. Is this a smokescreen? Like, are you buying this team? Are they legit?
The Bears have some things about them that are very exciting. Caleb Williams, look, his development, I mean, escaping from how many sacks on Sunday, whirling around, really wearing out that Giants pass rush was a huge factor. Though it didn't really result in many points until the final 4 or 5 minutes, but you got to give him his stripes in this one. They were up against it, down 10 points very late in this game. Williams played with some great composure, made this exceptional run to the corner of the end zone. These are the kind of plays that they made him the number one pick to get out of him, right? I mean, this is what you're looking for. I think Ben Johnson's got to be thrilled with that killer instinct he's really seen out of Caleb in these late game situations. But I still worry about the defense a little bit. They haven't always gotten their playmakers involved every single game. So there's still some things to clean up, offensive line, etc. But for right now, the Bears are very, very interesting.
Yeah, look at that touchdown that we showed as he's scampering down that sideline. I'm like, yo, Caleb's got better wheels than you think. Like, that was actually a pretty impressive run. By the way, just looking at the remaining schedule, at Minnesota, Pittsburgh, at Philadelphia, at Green Bay, Cleveland, Green Bay again, at San Francisco and Detroit. I don't think they're going to be sitting where they are by the end of the season. I'm just saying. And I don't think it goes like the better way. I know. We'll find out. We'll find out. I sound like a hater. I swear. It's like 2 weeks in a row here on the show. It sounds like I'm a big hater. I swear. I'm just trying to look at this thing objectively. Still to come here on Power Rankings, we have the team of the week, a dramatic move late in a game. D'Amico and company getting it done. Where do the Texans sit after being down 19 late? The answer to that's coming up next. Back here on Power Rankings, Eric's teams that sit 17 through 24. It's the Houston Texans who we'll talk about in just a moment. The Jags fall 3 spots to 18. Carolina at 19. The Vikings, not sure what to make of this season at 20. The Atlanta Falcons, not sure what to make of their performances the entire season at 21. The Cardinals get throttled. They are sitting at 22. The Cowboys, 23. And the Miami Dolphins moving up 5 spots after you take out the Buffalo Bills, now at 24. Time for Team of the Week. It is presented by Truist. Let's focus in at team number 17. You're down 29-10. You scored 26 points in the fourth quarter. 26-0 run here. I'm ready, and it's Davis Mills. Like, hat tip respect for, I used the term resiliency for another team earlier on the show. Yeah. I think that it directly applies to what we saw from D'Amico Ryans' squad.
Oh, he saved the season, right? It wasn't great until he had to be. Those last 3 drives were incredible. And, they're 3-6 and 1-2 in the division with a loss here. And that's a massive drop to where they are at 4-5, 2-1 in the division. So we'll see about CJ Stroud. Can he come back? But Davis Mills, great pinch hitting and waited till the end, but did his job. And the Texans defense finished it off. Better
late than never. Number 21, It's the Atlanta Falcons. What am I supposed to do with this squad? I mean, you go and take out Buffalo, and I feel good about you. Like, I don't know if we're just not seeing complete games. Like, at moments it's the offense that's looked good. At other times it's the defense that looks good. It doesn't feel like I'm getting a complete package here.
Yeah, the pass rush has stepped up. We know they can make some plays in the secondary, but Jonathan Taylor, the tackling, the run fits, this was a problem. This was a consistent issue. He was the one guy who was really kind of beating them all game, but couldn't get anything done on that side in that regard. But also Michael Penix, too. I've been a little disappointed. Some of the third down misses, some of the problems connecting with his receivers, his playmakers. They built this offense for him to thrive, and it just hasn't been that way so far, at least not in the last 4 games. So they've got to get better offensively and also learn how to stop the run.
Yeah, 4 consecutive losses. They match up now against Carolina. At number 24, it's a Dolphins team going to Madrid. They will match up against Washington, a game that can be seen on NFL Network and NFL Plus. All right, they trade Jaden Phillips. It feels like it's, a little bit of a reset here, and then you go and beat the Buffalo Bills. Like, I don't know, are they can they make a little run here? Can we string together some wins?
I think they have to, right? I mean, they've already seen changes in the front office. There've been scouts and GM fired, and this is going to be a big test, I think, in a marquee game, and then also the rest of the season. Can they have more performances like this? And why didn't they come early in the year? But still, look pretty explosive against Buffalo, and be fascinated to see if they can keep going.
Yeah, by the way, Jalen Phillips looked tremendous Monday night in a Philadelphia uniform. Here we go, teams 25 through 32, the Bengals, the Commanders, the Giants with a new coach at 27, the Raiders at 28, the Jets move up a spot at 29. It's the Browns, the Saints, and the Tennessee Titans at number 32. By the way, real quick here, Brian Daboll, good move, bad move for the Giants?
Well, look, they got a very attractive job, I think, with Dart, Malik Neighbors, Scadaboo, all these guys, Andrew Thomas. Somebody's going to want that job, so we'll see. I don't know if it's the right move or not.
Let the search begin. Thanks so much for watching.